Hello, how are you today? My beautiful artists, you're about to see the Hearts of the Garden watercolor palette, and it is so special. I'm so excited for this tutorial, and I hope you love the paint. There's something so magical about painting a rose in the heart of winter. It's a quiet moment, but kind of defiance against the cold, I have to say, where color becomes warmth and the brush becomes a kind of sunlight for us all. My newest video captures the feeling, a soft, loose watercolor rose painted with my Hearts of the Garden palette. A set created to remind us that the beauty still blooms, even when the world outside feels asleep. It not only feels asleep this winter, but it feels so chilly that it is just in my bones. But even in the toughest winters, when the days feel long and the light seems distant, watercolor has a way of reminding us, trust the process and I will be there for you. It asks for patience and the kind that we owe ourselves. Each wash, each bloom of color becomes a reflection of our emotions. So remember, it's quietly teaching us that the growth often happens in the softest, slowest moments. But you have to provide the soft, slow moments in order for you to grow. When you let the water lead and allow your heart to follow, calm begins to flow across the page. And somewhere between color and silence, you'll find yourself again. So let us rise to this occasion and take brush in hand with those 4 precious new paints and create something as soft and lovely as you are. The Heart of the Garden handmade watercolor palette holds 4 fresh seasonal colors: wild strawberry, sapling, botanical teal, and peony shimmer. Each one a tiny spark of joy, born from pigment and light. But these paints are more than pigment and binder. They're brilliant rays of sunshine, handmade to bring life back into your creative space during the quiet of winter. I made this special edition watercolor set just for you because spring is not here yet, and it looks like winter is going to be long. So before we can jump into our spring palettes, I thought this was something really needed. We're going to use these beautiful colors to bring some color back into our winter. I painted the rose on 100% cotton watercolor paper. It's soft, textural, and it catches the shimmer and allows the paint to flow in a way that feels most alive. The key to this study was letting go, though, allowing the brush to wander, keeping the petals loose, keeping your hand not too tightly gripped around your watercolor brush, and suggestive, trusting the water to do the work of softening edges and mingling hues. Trust the watercolor because it's that good. The pigment is beautifully strong and it will do marvelous things for you. Wild strawberry dances across the page, but I just have to say one thing. Peony shimmer, that soft cast, luminous glow that it made the rose feel kissed by the light, that is the star of the show. I absolutely thought it was the perfect color shade for this particular set. Now you might think, wow, that's going to go over red. Yes, it is. It actually works so well, and you're going to see that in the end. I think it's going to be one of those watercolors that you can glaze over a lot of other colors, so be sure to try that on your sampling swatch. Botanical teal was stunning. That hint just added unexpected depth to the shadows, creating balance but serenity. And best of all, it mixes with the red and it mixes with the green so beautifully. It's a luminous glow. Sapling green is such a grounding color for foliage, but yet it's got that freshness. It's got a contrast that I really liked for this set, as opposed to my typical avocado greens or the deeper greens, which I'm always drawn to. I think sapling is going to be a lot of fun to use in this beautiful month of February. And finally, a little wild strawberry, because everybody likes a little strawberry here and there. You're going to be painting loosely, but it's not about perfection. It's about the feeling. It's about letting your brush remember what joy feels like again. Letting each color breathe without trying to control its path. This is a practice bringing us back to the reason we paint in the first place. To reconnect, to pause, to remember that art is much about emotion as it is about technique. As the colors settled on the page, I thought about how each brushstroke felt like a small act of hope in a really desperate time of winter. I have so much sadness around me sometimes, and watercolor has been such a wonderful companion. Proof that creativity can bring warmth to even the coldest days. Painting a rose in winter feels like whispering to spring, I'm still here, I'm still blooming, and I'm waiting for you. If you're feeling like I am, then pull the paint out. I invite you to join me in this new video. Take out your brushes, your favorite paper, and a little courage. Let's create something tender and alive, a reminder that even in the chill of winter, color still finds a way to grow. Also, a little reminder that in your subscription gift this month is an ACEO trading card from me, hand painted. There's another video on this channel of how I painted all of these cards for everyone. So each of you is getting an original little piece of artwork that you can keep and remember that I absolutely adore you and that you are so valued to be here. I can't wait to see what you paint. Let's get into it. I began mixing color so that I could establish kind of my depth of field. So just a couple of versions of the wild strawberry are mixed here. One is the wild strawberry in its neat, undiluted form. The other one is the botanical teal mixed in ever so slightly into the wild strawberry to give me that second deep kind of wine color. You can make it as blue as you'd like, so just do what speaks to you. I'm taking my angular shader and I'm taking very, very strong pieces of pigment and just going around making some petals. Very easy, nothing pre-planned. We're just kind of looking at my sample here and deciding to just get excited about the color, just hit the paper. It's wet on dry and there's not a lot of water on my brush. This particular angular shader, as most are, is synthetic, so it won't hold a ton of water and it doesn't have a lot of bristles to maintain the water. The idea here is to get it in there into the paper as strong as possible because we're going to be wetting it and letting it kind of smooth out. So I'm going to take my mister now and just kind of wet around either one side, or you could wet two sides, but the whole thing is just to get it moving because we're going to be shaping the flower later as we go. So the purpose of this particular part is to spread the watercolor and get a softness. Get away from those harsh lines and loosen up the entire structure because you can always add detail later. But right now we want to get that big, beautiful kind of loose bloom going. So add as much water as you feel like. It's all an experimentation. You can always wipe it clean and start over. You could wait for it to dry and go from there. But as you can see, the angular shader now becomes my lifting tool. A good synthetic, very thirsty brush is what you want here, and that's just going to go through and lift using a clean brush and a tissue to wipe. And I'm just lifting, but at the same time I'm adding light back into the rose in a very soft way. It's kind of softening some of the harsher lines. But then I can go back with these two colors and I can add a little more detail and a little more strength of color. And by doing this, I'm able to shape the rose with still having that natural looking kind of bloomy effect that kind of blurs some of the edges. Now remember, some of the areas that we already previously wet and then sprayed, they're still going to be damp. So on 100% watercolor paper, that is still going to give you movement. So if at any time you feel that the white is not showing up enough or you didn't leave enough white space, you can always go back and use a clean brush and start to remove some of that color to bring it back in. That's a really great thing to do and learn to do as far as your technique box, because we all like a little more light. Next, I'm taking sapling and I'm going to just start bringing in some foliage here. The idea is to create balance and brightness, but at the same time, I'm trying not to overpaint, which is a very, very tough thing for me to do. I love to overpaint things, but I'm using a rigger brush. This one is a rigger brush that I have loved forever, and I have it in a couple of sizes. It is by Escoda, my all-time favorite rigger. I can't even tell you how often I use these rigger brushes. Now, there are some economical rigger brushes out there, and there are some more expensive rigger brushes. I would say at this point, get the brushes that you can afford, because I have found some really well-priced options for you, as well as if you did want to invest and get an Escoda. But you don't have to. It's really up to you. What you do with your tools should be what you do with your tools. You should never let a tool or a lack of a tool get in your way, because creativity is the tool you need. I don't care if you finger paint this stuff on. It's all good, and you're going to have just as much fun, whether you have the fancy brush or you just have your finger to paint with. So just enjoy, let the paint go on, and look at all those variations and colors you can get. One thing I loved about sapling as I shaped the leaves, depending on how much water is on your brush, you can get anywhere from a bright yellow-green, which is like fresh sapling, or a deeper, darker green. And then you can also add a little bit of the botanical teal into that green to give those shadows back in. So in a way, my botanical teal has now become our creator of shadows, because if we add it to the red, it gives us shadow colors. It gives us deep wine all the way to deep purples and plums. If you add it to the sapling, it gives you that depth of color. So without having to move too far away from the hues that are already in the painting, you now have a very easy way to get shadows. Also remember that if you mix the red and the green together, that's going to give you another form of shadowing. So whatever appeals to you is available in this set, even though it is a limited palette of only 4 colors. Now I'm taking my rigger brush, and it is a clean brush that is pretty much dry at this point, or just lightly damp, and I'm drawing it through the current wet paint. I like to do this because I like texture. So I'm either at some point going to take a tool and scrape my paper, or I'm going to use the rigger and start softening some areas and then adding details to others. Now we're going to take that beautiful bloomy peony shimmer and paint right over some of the lighter petals, just to give it that little hint. Now what I love about this color here is that not only does it have that really pretty little shimmer, but if you notice, the contrast in the paint gives the softness to the wild strawberry. It brings back a little bit of pink into the red, especially the really light areas. So you might want to just give it a little dusting in any area that you feel is very light, because it really does work to not only bring that little bit alive, but give it something different, that just looks so romantic and well well done. I don't know. To me, I think it just finishes it off so nicely. I'm also going through at this point and looking for areas that I can lighten and looking for areas that I can darken. I also want to realign the center by just giving it some shape in different ways. So mostly my angular shader is dropping in some of the brilliant wild strawberry and a little bit of the lights and darks versions of that color. So as I pull it from my palette, sometimes you'll see me pulling it from the honey pot itself to get the strongest version of the color, and sometimes from different areas of my palette to get the lighter versions or other versions of this color. But either way, it's really about the play. Just enjoy. Start adding paint, subtracting paint. You're going to learn so much in this one. I encourage you with every exercise to paint 5, 10 of these until you just have enjoyed it so thoroughly and really brought out this technique as much as you can. Don't ever be afraid to line up your watercolor paper and literally paint 5 or 10 little mini roses across it. It's all going to be good for you, and you're going to really remember this exercise, and I think come out with some roses that you're going to surprise yourself with, and you won't even be thinking about the cold. A little signature from me, and we are all set to go. It is just that simple. I know that you will enjoy this technique, and I think I will see you using it quite often as we move through our florals. Isn't this just the perfect way to bring a loop from winter to spring? I think it is. I can't wait for the spring sets to come out. So if you haven't ordered yours yet, you might want to stop by Jack's Watercolor and pick up a subscription set. Some of them are available for sale at this point in different spring colors, and of course I'd always like to see you sign up for our seasonal subscription. Have a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, be sure to leave a comment below. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you again soon.